Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren and you are watching the Valentines, and I'm very excited to be filming today from my new candle studio. Still getting it set up, so more on that in an upcoming video. But today I'm talking about an awesome topic, and that is what I would do if I were starting a candle business in 2025. So I have sold candles and other handmade items for the past 7 years in so many different formats. I have sold at many different farmers markets and craft fairs all over the country. I have sold direct to wholesale, direct to retailers. I have sold on Faire, Etsy, my own website, pop-ups, on Facebook, you name it. So I've gained a lot of experience in the last 7 years. And this is going to be maybe some things that I would do differently and some lessons I've learned along the way. Now, I'm not going to be covering things like do lots of testing on your candles before you sell them, or really dial in your pricing and profit margin. I'm not covering stuff like that because I do think that information is a little bit more obvious, and while it's great information and things that you should absolutely do, I do think that there have already been a lot of videos made on those topics. So what I hope to share with you today are maybe some things that are going to be a little less obvious. So let's get right into it. So my first piece of advice is I would sell in person as much as possible instead of just trying to make it online. And there's some really good reasons for that. So first of all, the online space is much more competitive than selling in person. So if you think about it this way, if I show up for a craft festival, even if there's another candle vendor or a couple other candle vendors, that's still way less competition than trying to get people's attention in the online world. There's going to be makers who've been doing this far longer than you, and they're going to have their branding dialed in and like so professional. They're going to have larger followings. Of course, you know, a caveat would be if you already are a person who has quite a large online following on social media, then yeah, you'd probably be well positioned to launch a lot of different product lines, I would think. But if you're just a normal person like me who just has my, regular Facebook friends, really sell in person as much as you can. It's going to be a lot less money to get started and a lot less time to get started. And what I mean by that too is back to that competition of getting seen in the online world. If I show up at a craft fair or a farmer's market, people can see my face, maybe I have my sign up and I've got all my products, and I can talk to them and create some kind of immediate trust and immediate association with who's making that. That's a lot harder to do in the online space. That often requires more time dialing in your branding, and I'm talking about design work, time creating content like this video, social media posts. So it's just so much quicker for people to create a connection with your brand when you're selling in person. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I do online sales, and it's important to do that, but I don't rely on that as my bread and butter. In fact, most of the people who have purchased from me online in the past have been people that I have met at craft fairs or farmers markets and, shared my website information with them, added them to my email list, and then they shopped online with me. So and I know that because I look at my data. And so like most of the people are folks that I've met in person, and then they continue to be an online shopper. The other thing is like Etsy, but I would run ads on Etsy. And so that's how I got, that's how I got customers there. But that goes back to my point, is going to be more expensive to get customers online than it is going to be in person. So the other thing about selling in person, especially starting out, is you're going to get so much real-time feedback about everything about your products, about your brand, you're going to watch people pick up your candle and smell it. And you're gonna see their face and their reaction. And this is actually one of the more fun parts about selling candles. And you're gonna learn so much. You're gonna learn what names and what fragrances are resonating with the most amount of people. You're gonna know what your top sellers are. And you're also gonna learn how your preferences will really differ from the public. And that's really, really important information to have. Another thing about selling in person versus online is I can ask the people who come to my table at a market or a craft fair, I can ask them anything. And I often do. I often ask them like, hey, which is your favorite? Hey, if I were to offer wax melts, is that of interest to you, or you prefer the flame of a burning candle? You can say, hey, I've asked people who wholesale my candles, people who manage or run retail stores. When I see them in person, I say like, hey, how much ordering are you gonna be doing for Valentine's Day? Is it worth me to do a limited edition run of holiday candles? So like, short of like surveying people online, you're just gonna get way more feedback that is actually actionable in your business. So it's just, unless you're someone who goes viral on social media or already has quite a dedicated social media following, there's really no substitute for getting started in person and then hopefully keeping in touch with those people online through your email list and social media. Number two is niche, niche, niche. So it's not just enough to just launch a candle brand anymore, because there is competition out there. Do I think the market is saturated? No. I have had big events that I've done where there were like 5 other candle vendors right in my area and candles were still my top seller. I think candles are an amazing gift buy. They're an impulse buy. They are ancient. They're joyful. I always think candles are going to be a good product. And I've seen that through my sales numbers. But I will tell you what I mean by niche down. So it's not just enough to have candles that are just named after, a fragrance. I used to have my candles named things like Ember and Ether, or like, Summertime Blooms, right? It was just, they were beautiful names, but it wasn't attached to a brand message or the emotion. And while I did do some decent sales, I will tell you that my sales have effortlessly increased since I created a more solid brand and niche. So now my candles, I have a Virginian candle collection. That's my main product line. And all the candles are themed for like the state of Virginia and the landmarks and associations that we love with Virginia. And, I have one called Chesapeake Bay, Dogwood Flower, Appalachian Trail, Blue Ridge Sunset, I have Shenandoah Morning, and I'm coming out with a few others next year. And so this is just so targeted for locals and tourists alike, and my retailers just really love it as well. So when I am at a craft fair or a farmer's market, when people see the label, they'll say, oh, Chesapeake Bay, and they'll smell it, and then they'll tell me about a family vacation that they had to the Chesapeake Bay, or their grandmother who had a house there, or they live there now. So what I've done now is I've made emotional connections. Appalachian Trail is a really popular one. People will say, I'm buying this for my son who hiked the Appalachian Trail. Or like, oh, my college roommate hiked the Appalachian Trail. So it's creating this emotional connection. And then scent is very closely tied to memory. So even if it doesn't smell like the Chesapeake Bay, because why would I make a candle that actually smells exactly like the Chesapeake Bay? It reinforces that storyline in their head, right, when they smell that smell. So that's kind of what my personal experience has been with niching down. And particularly if you're planning for the future and you're gonna do online sales, or you're gonna go for mostly online sales, despite my previous advice, niching is going to help you with your marketing and narrowing down. You're going to be able to have more specific ads. You're going to have more specific hashtags. So it's just like, I would consider it like highly essential if you're going to be doing a candle line. There's a lot of competition out there, and you have to have something that's unique. So along the lines of niching down, locally themed stuff is a good business strategy, but also, think about candles, like a whole line of candles for ballerinas, or, go with different sports. People are very emotionally connected to sports. People are very emotionally connected to places. You could do a line of men's candles and have some creative naming for those. Humorous candles always sell well. Something that comes to my mind is like humor for parents, right? So find your niche. And another really good niche that I also do that I really haven't talked about much yet on this channel is I do private label custom candles. So this would be like when the candle doesn't have any of my branding at all, and I make a special label and fragrance for the person who's buying them. And this would still be like another business, or it could be business to consumer if it's a, wedding favors or something. I haven't done that yet, but I'm just saying that would be an example because my order minimums and my prices are higher for that. So I'm just now working on a big batch of my larger candles for a financial firm who's going to be giving them for Christmas gifts to their clients. I'm planning to make a video on that, but that would be an example of what I'm talking about. Also, there's tons of brick and mortar establishments that would love that. I know a woman who does custom candles for a yoga studio. They sell great. Coffee shops. I think a lot of hair salons would love a candle that's their own custom fragrance and branded with their logo. So consider that a niche as well. But for sure, find your niche. Okay, so number 3, and some folks are going to disagree with me on this, but I feel strongly about it, and that is sell popular fragrances instead of making a bunch of custom blends. So I think there's a lot of pressure online, or I see people make videos about this, that there's like this pressure to stand out and have something that's like fully unique and different. So that is important, really tied into what I was talking about with the last thing about niche. But especially when you're just starting out, like popular fragrances are popular for a reason. So when I go onto the Candle Science website, and Candle Science is my main supplier, there is a filter. You can see the most popular fragrances by state, and I let that guide my decision making a lot because I am trying to make money. I am trying to pay off our mortgage faster. I have all these dreams associated with that one goal, right? The lifestyle that I want for my son, right? So why not sell what's selling, right? And also, like, what's wrong with being a little basic? Like, these fragrances are already wonderful. Like, a whole team of people tested these fragrances and came up with these fragrances, and they are clean burning, they're phthalate free, they're reproductive toxin free. It's already such a wonderful product. We don't have to, not everything needs to be innovated on, I do make some custom blends from time to time, but it's really driven by the need and not so much like wanting to be special or different. Like, for example, I needed an apple blossom fragrance one time for a special event. That didn't really exist, so I blended Japanese cherry blossom and a little bit of Macintosh apple. It was great. There was one other time I did a custom blend, and it's like the whole circumstance is escaping me right now, but for the most part, I do use the ones that are popular. People love them. That's what they want to buy. So especially if you're starting out, don't make it harder for yourself. You can do a custom blend for those special clients. You can do a custom blend as you get more experience in the business. People will argue with me on that one, but I just feel really strongly about that. Number 4, if I were starting a candle business in 2025, I would rely more on pre-orders and limited edition launches for my overall marketing strategy. Pre-orders is such a good strategy when you're starting out. It helps you to fund your product line, basically. You can create a small batch, some example products, take as wonderful pictures of them as you can, and you can post them on your social media and just ask, like, who would be interested in this? And you can take orders and payments up front, And that will help you not only have the cash flow to be able to make the candles, but it will help you to manage your workload. And just know how much time you're going to need invested in something. What I like about this too is it helps create work-life balance. I used to have my website and Etsy just open like all the time, and retail customers could order from it anytime. And that was great, but I really don't prefer to do that anymore. Now that I'm busier as a mom and running a farm as well, I like to know when my seasonal product launches are gonna happen. Like right now, in a couple days, I am about to launch a limited edition holiday candle set trio. And you can buy just the gift set trio or each of those three fragrances only individually. And I've already started taking pre-orders for this. And so that helps me balance my load for craft festivals too. Especially if I had a craft festival coming up and maybe I was short on cash, I could take pre-orders, and then that would not only give me the money to make the items that were pre-ordered, but also have a little bit more inventory for the craft show. So this is just such a really good strategy, and I'm gonna be doing it more to help me manage my time and my other obligations. All right, guys, I have 2 more really good ideas for you. The next is number 5 is gonna be narrow your product line. I spent too many years having too many different products, and this cost me money and it cost me business growth. Now I just focus on my main candle collection, the Virginian Candle Collection. I sell that year-round, wholesale, and direct to customers through craft shows. And then I will have seasonal limited edition releases, but the main line is the one that I focus on now, and that has helped me in so many ways. The first way that this has helped you is making more money. You're gonna have so much less overhead when you have narrowed down your product line. You're gonna have, every vessel, unused wax, wick that sits back here in your studio is money that you have already spent and you have not yet earned back. And the more product lines you have, the more money sitting on that shelf you have that hasn't been sold and earned back yet. And that's appropriate as you grow in your business and as you have more time and, whatever your constraints are, that's appropriate at some point, but not starting out unless you are someone with a lot of capital, And so it's just going to help you with your profitability and cash flow. It is also going to help you with your marketing efforts, which is also time and money. Focusing those marketing efforts, there's just no comparison. People will understand your brand more too. I think when I had too many different product lines, people weren't always sure of maybe what I was doing at the time. And in a really much more practical sense, when I would sell at farmers markets, while I did decent sales, maybe people were confused about what I had at my table because I had a variety of different products. And especially at a farmer's market, people know this is the dairy person, this is the bread lady, here's the sauerkraut guy. People expect like a more narrow product offerings at each table. So especially if you're selling at product markets, like just being known as the candle lady is not a bad thing. It just helps with your branding and your message, and being memorable is more important than being diverse or unique sometimes. Having a narrow product line also gives you more time to polish that product line and have it to be the best it can be, more time to polish your branding, more time to maximize the existing sales channels for that one product. I mean, narrowing the focus just makes you more efficient in almost every area of your business. I am reaping the benefits of that now, and I just wish I had done it years ago. All right, number 6, this is the last one, guys. And this is a good one. It's being realistic about your income potential. This is tough with handmade because we're not just reselling stuff. I'm not just going online, buying wholesale, purchasing a bunch of products and then reselling it. A lot of my time and effort and emotion and creativity goes into making these items. And while there is value in just having the creative outlet, like I said, I'm trying to pay off my mortgage fast. We're trying to, have my husband retire early. We have goals. So being realistic about what you can make and what your profit margin really is. And I think for so many of us, if we really look at the profit margin more closely, it's not as good as we would like to think. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. It's just, it takes dialing in, it takes watching your overhead as closely as possible. My profit margin just on the candles is around 60%. I would like for it to be higher. I pay a lot in shipping. So something like driving down and getting my wax from the factory in bulk is probably something I'm going to do next year to increase my margin. But what I'm talking about is that's just the profit margin on the the total cost of goods to make the candle. What about all of my software costs? I pay for Canva, I pay for a website, I pay for design software, I pay for, I know there's a couple other online tools that I pay for that are hard costs of operating my business. I should probably make a video about that too. But, and then on top of that, there's taxes. Guys, if you're married, combining your income with your spouse, that's a lot that comes out for income tax. So really work backwards from, I want to make $200 a month. So here's what I need to sell in order to make that. For me, with all things said and done, I probably need to sell, based on my current calculations, I need to sell about double what I want to make. Oh, that's vendor fees, to have a table. So anyway, the point is, maybe it's not worth it to you when you do that math. Maybe it is. And, not everyone has to go viral and become rich making candles. If you just want to make $200 more a month to get your nails done and for some fun money or whatever it is, that's a really worthy goal. And if you just want to, have some more adult time out of, when you work your table, that's a worthy goal. If you want to make $1,000 a month, that's a worthy goal. That's one thing that I do. I'll make another video about this, but I love about this business. There have been times that I've worked this full time and made thousands of dollars a month. And then there's been times that I'm like, you know what? In this season of my life, when my baby was young, I can only do a couple limited releases a year, or I can only do one market a month, right? So that's another thing that I love about this. You can really fit your lifestyle, but begin with the end in mind. Really think about how much is it going to be worth it to you. I would do that if I were starting a candle business in 2025. I really do hope that this has been helpful information to you guys, and I really do appreciate you being here on my channel and watching. I just enjoy making these videos and sharing it with folks. And I hope to see you next time, and if you would subscribe, it would mean a lot. Thank you and have a wonderful day.